Florida one was good in the morning.
They're all good. You like that? Okay, I cover a lot of goods there.
I like some of the.
Okay.
But you could.
We'll talk more about it. Gemara, new perek, Rabotai.
11b1.
Mi shehafach. Amazing. We are on page Yud Aleph Amud Bet, top of a brand new page, beginning of a brand new chapter. Let's begin. The Mishnah says as follows: Mi shehafach et zetav ve'eru le'evel and ira'o evel, and mourning happened to him. Now let's just be clear. I want to be absolutely razor sharp clear before we talk to anybody. Okay? Before we say anything. There's an interesting phenomenon we have to understand over here. And that is that when they took the olives off of the trees, okay, they would, in order to make them less bitter and soft, they would put them in a vat. And in the vat, what would happen to these items? They would become soft. And after that, they would be ready to be pressed. If you ever took an olive off a tree, you'll see, number one, it's very hard. Number two, it's also very bitter. Okay? So they need to ripen all the way, like we talked about. Remember, not 1/3 of the way. They need to ripen all the way. And then they need to be softened so that you can get all the oil out of them. So what would they do? They would put the olives down, right? They would get them ready in the vat, and they would have them on one side. Once they sat in the vat, they were primed to be pressed. They needed to be turned over, okay?
Oh, wow.
And here's the crazy part. And the minute the olive is turned over, it's like a ticking time bomb. There's an amount of time by which it needs to be pressed or the oil gets ruined. Okay? All right, so what happens? The guy, hafachet zetav, he turned over his olives. Mm-hmm. Now what happens? He's on the clock. Mm-hmm. Press him or lose him. Okay. Or unfortunately, what happens to the guy? He has eat. So if he has someone dies in the family, Evil. That's another option. It should say that in the Mishnah. And he broke his arm.
Thank you.
Or Evil. Baruch Hashem, I'd rather this than the Evil that would have happened. Right? Evil, morning. The guy's not allowed to work. During Shiva, not allowed to work. Or honest, honest happens. Like that's this one. That's the arm. Okay? Or Shehituhu Poalim. The workers lied to him. What did they tell him? The construction workers, I'll be there Tuesday, boss. Yeah, I'm showing up Sunday morning. You ever hear that from the construction guy?
Thursday.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still there. I have an item waiting for construction in my kitchen.
Yeah, I'll see you next week.
Already for 5 months, maybe. Not sure how long.
Week.
Yeah.
On the boat.
All right.
See you Monday.
No, it's good. The guy does. You want to hear the best one? 5 months pass by. The guy says, "I'm waiting for a day with no rain." I was like, it's been 5 months. We don't live in London. Okay. To'en korah rishona. Says the halacha, says the Mishnah, he's allowed to put koreh means a beam. Okay?
Beam?
Yeah. Like a beam of a house is called a koreh. In fact, there's a beautiful line, a famous line during the time of Yemei Shefot HaShoftim, where we read in the beginning of Megillat Ruth. Okay? It was a time when the people judged their judges. The judge, i.e. the rabbi, would tell the guy, Tol kisem mi ben shinecha. Take the toothpick from between your teeth. The rabbis would give them musar. What did the guy tell the rabbi? Tol koreh mi ben aynecha. Take the beam from between your eyes. Yani the people were judging their judges because they had, in other words, they had no good leadership. All right? And that's why it's the beginning of Ruth starts off Vayi bimei shefot hashoftim. In the time, the judging of the judges. Right. Literally translated, it means the time of the judges. But the rabbis explained that they were lacking leadership at the time. Okay? So, a guy would say, take out the toothpick, and he would tell him, take the beam. That word, koreh, is the word beam. Okay?
There's also the lovely pasuk about the woman whose beam was so modest that her beams of her house never saw her natural hair.
Very good. It's not the mother of all the Kohanim. Of all the Kohanim, Gedolim. Right? That's what you're talking about. Her name was Kimchit. Okay, moving on. To'en korah rishona. You're able to put the first beam on the olives. Two opinions as to why you're able to put the beam down. Koreh rishona, the first beam. You can't put a beam again a second time. The beam is what they put on the olives, and that's what pressed the olives and got the oil out. Okay, you're able to put the first one, i.e., but not the second one.
Well, it's two
Why?
beams of
In other words, two processes of pressing.
Pressing.
Okay? Otherwise known as depressing. Now, the second time, after you put the first beam and you pushed it down, you squeezed out the olives, you got the majority of the olive oil that came out. The second olive oil squeeze was not that much, less oil. Not only less oil, I remember reading, also more sediment. Because you're crushing crushed olives.
Less the oil's right. It's already now you're pressing it harder.
It's not just pressing
The
it
oil's
harder,
already out.
it's that the
It must
olive
be
is
solid.
broken.
Right.
Once you broke the olive, squeezing a broken olive has more likely to have pieces.
first press virgin olive oil.
Excellent. That's first press oil.
First press.
Where do we use first press oil for?
Hanukkah.
The menorah. Excellent. Shemen zayit zach. What do we use the second press? We use the other oils for other things. But the purest of the oil was reserved.
All right, we're coming to your house.
The purest of the oil was used for the holiest of things. So that's the toy koreri shona, the first press. Two opinions why. One opinion is because now there's less oil or less chashuv oil. So it's not as much of a excellent. First answer is not as much of a loss. Second answer is it's not about not as much of a loss, still a loss. The reason is, but this is a technical one. Once you squeeze the olive once, remember what I told you? It's
enough oil
press it or lose
to
it.
go ahead?
No, that's good. Press it or lose it. Remember I told you that?
Right.
Press it or lose it. After the first press, the second press won't be ruined.
The time doesn't run out.
Oh,
It's not,
that was
you don't have
okay
do
to
it
be
right
pressed
away.
later.
Now, yeah, you could leave it. That's what the next Mishnah, the end of the Mishnah says.
That's interesting.
"Umenicha lachar hamoed." Once you put the first item down, you squeezed out the first thing. Then menicha lachar hamoed. There's no loss on the second item because either because it's inconsequential or because it doesn't get ruined. I have a third option, somewhat in between these two approaches of the mifarshim. Ready for this one? The first olive oil, which is the finest oil, in that oil we can tell the difference whether it waited or not. Stale oil, yani. But in the second oil, which is anyway dirty oil, sediment oil,
It's not time sensitive.
it's not the ruination is not enough because you know what? You're not using it for menorah. You're not using it for the Italian spaghetti. You're using it in the cholent. You're using it you're adding it to the kugel that nobody can tell the difference. So maybe the reason why it's not that it's too inconsequential a loss, and it's not that it gets ruined. It's that the ruination is only noticed in the highest level. Yeah, when we're very careful for connoisseurs. What are we careful for? Guy who's going to drink espresso.
Process.
You have a guy who's going to add cappuccino. If you're ordering the best beans and then drinking them cappuccino with a vanilla pump,
You just killed it.
you killed it.
Tequila with lime juice.
If you're going to put ice in your whiskey, don't talk to me about how your whiskey got ruined, because you obviously have no idea. If you're putting it with okay, fine. Let's continue.
A drop of water is the same ruination.
Chas v'shalom.
It opens it.
Drop of water opens it. What's the difference between ice and oil and water? First of all, amount, but second of all is temperature. When the whiskey is cooled to the degree of ice where it's very cold, your taste buds are frozen. So you lose the ability to be able to taste whiskey. Okay, let's continue. Says the Gemara, Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. That you get first press, but not second press. Rabbi Yossi holds no. Zolef v'gomer v'gaf kedarko. Zolef means you pour. Okay, you're pouring. You put the olives in, right? V'gomer, and then you finish the pressing. V'gaf, and then you seal everything up as you would normally do kedarko. That's a machloket Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi. Just I want to point out, are you realizing that this is like a running machloket? The champions of this whole masechet are like Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi. Every Mishnah is a machloket, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi. We don't always know right away that it's them. Sometimes it's like, oh, this one, that, the other. Other people say, Chachamim. Then the Gemara is like, who's this? Rabbi Yossi. What do you mean? We have another Rabbi. Oh, that's different Rabbi Yossi.
Rabbi Yossi.
Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, okay? But they definitely ate their Wheaties when it came to Moed Kattan. Okay, so Rabbi Yossi says,
Change anything.
press like, yeah.
You do what you do.
Yeah, like we say, full court press. Okay, says the Gemara. Patach be'evel. The Mishnah begins with avelut. And the reason why you weren't able to get the job done is because you weren't allowed to get the job done. V'siyem b'moed. But in the end, you ended off with the words of moed, right? Umenicha la'achar moed. Right, but we never got back to what happens in a scenario of the morning. So let's just review. When it comes to the other items,
No morning in Moed.
one minute, just hold off for 1 second, okay? We're going to explain. We left off with the halacha of mourning, which is 7 days long. What did we just tell you? We just told you that you can't let it wait till after the moed. If you can't let it wait till after the moed, then when you wait till after the avelut, same thing.
Because that's the days of Moed, because Pesach is 8 days. It would be
Same
7
length.
days.
Same length,
Right.
7 days. Right? Our 8th day, only Sukkot because of Shmini
So
Atzeret.
same 7 and
No,
7.
because of Shmini Atzeret. Right?
Sukkot.
But there will be less. Okay.
Well, you don't know it's coming.
Pesach will be
you
less.
know it's coming. Meaning you can...
Doesn't matter. Oh, you mean, so it wouldn't be relevant. No, but you don't always know someone's going to die.
No.
Let him in.
That's what I'm saying.
You know when
You
Pesach
don't know
is.
somebody's dying, but you know it's Moed coming up. So
Okay, so
you don't.
so we shouldn't allow you to do it. Your question is a much better question than, right? Ask it that way. Why are we allowing you to do first press on the Moed? Since you knew the Moed was coming, why'd you turn the olives over?
That took a lot of things, though. I
Right.
want to use the oil for the meal, fresh oil, delicious, pure, for the meal for away.
So we never said that.
the bread.
First of all, we never said
said
that.
for the bread.
No, we said, in other words, the Mishnah doesn't say, like we said with the pickles, however much you need, right, for the Moed. It doesn't say however much you need for Moed over here. Also, I believe
It talks about the olive.
I believe if you need it for the Moed, we probably would allow you to do second press too. So that's maybe why it doesn't talk about needing it for the Moed. We're only talking here about a loss at this moment. Okay, says the Gemara. So we left Moed, we left Avelut. We didn't tell you what's with the halacha with Avelut. Okay, Gemara says Amar Rav Shisha beredav Idi. Zot omeret. What this communicates is Devarim amutarim b'Moed. There are things that are allowed during the Moed. Asurim b'yemei evlo are not allowed during the time of the Avelut. So what we try to communicate is that you're in a situation for the Moed, you're allowed to do it on the Moed. The situation for Avelut,
But during the Moed, the Avelut, during the Moed?
no.
You
They're
can
separate.
press
There you go.
during
Okay,
Moed,
no.
you can't press
That's what I was
during
confused.
Avelut.
If you'd had this,
That's what we thought.
that's that. But this is what the Gemara is saying.
We thought separate during the Moed, the Avelut.
No.
No.
If you had this item where you got into it because of this problem of Avelut, right? Or if this happened on the holiday,
Right, holiday
before the holiday, the halakha would be able to do on
But not Avelut.
the way, but not with regards to Moed, which would tell you that you have to suffer the loss for the morning.
So a question arises that
Yeah.
all the things we talked about before, we never designated Avelut as a separate period of time to do these things that you're allowed to do during the Moed.
Correct.
But here, it specifically separates it.
Yeah, specifically
olives.
brings it in order to draw a contrast. Yes.
So, assuming that, we assume that Avelut in all the other situations,
That's
we don't
too,
even talk about
that's too big of a jump, because you're
You know what I mean.
positing all of the laws of Avelut from omission. You see, you can't do that.
it. Okay.
Like if you have a specific moment where it brings in Avelut, and then by koach of omission, by not telling you what you're allowed to do, I could see what the Mishnah held you're not allowed to do. But to say that we learn all these laws that we learned up until now are all not true about Avelut, that would be like we're learning all Masechet from one diuk. See what I mean? It would be too much.
There's no davar aved in Avelut.
So the first opinion, that's what they're saying. No davar aved. Now, there'll be others that would wiggle out of that, but let's just say for now. It would seem from the first opinion that we're talking about davar aved, and
So this
you
time-
don't have that answer for Avelut.
So this time they brought in Avelut as a topic.
Brought in Avelut, didn't give you the get out of jail free card, telling you like that. Okay. Says the Gemara, Rav Ashi Omer, Rav Ashi says, Lo mibaye ka'amar. No. It's saying lo mibaye. What does lo mibaye mean? Lo mibaye means it's not a question. I didn't need to tell you. Right? Not only this, but even this. Right? Lo mibaye mibaye lo. I don't have to tell you that you're allowed to do melacha during the Avelut. Dimidrabananhu bishari. that the reason and the origin source for work during Avelut is Midrabanan. So therefore it will be allowed in this case. Ela afilu b'moed, but even, rather, a much bigger chidush. Even on Chol HaMoed, the Isur Melacha Mideoraita, that the Isur comes from a biblical source, okay? Bikom Pseda Sharu Rabanan. The Chachamim allowed you to do it in a place of great loss, okay?
See that?
So you understand what we just did?
Oh, can you
Okay.
say that
The
again?
first opinion says like this. It says Avelut, and then it says Moed, and then it says you're allowed. The Mishnah is saying like, wow, it's kind of like, almost seems like the Mishnah is telling you, you're allowed for Moed, but it didn't tell you you're allowed for Avelut. Gemara says, yeah, absolutely. That's what it's teaching you. That Moed is allowed, and Avelut is not allowed.
he disagrees.
Avelut more
He's
strict.
showing a different.
The second opinion says literally exactly the opposite. You don't only have to say that you're allowed to do it by Avelut, which is less chamur, less strict. Drabanan. The Mishnah went ahead and told you you're allowed to do it even on Deoraita. How much more so that you're allowed to do it in Avelut. So the two opinions are directly opposed. Okay? So omission, how does the law go, Morris? Omission is 9/10. What does it go?
9/10 of the law. No.
What's 9?
Possession is not 9/10 of the law. Possession.
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 The opposite of omission.
Admission.
That's the essence of it.
You never said that in basketball.
Possession is 9/10 of the law.
Grab the ball.
Admission, by the way, not omission. Admission is 100% of the law. It's 10/10. Like we said, hodat baldin. Right, you just kill yourself. Omission, however, is no percent of the law. And by the way, my title for my title for Shabbat afternoon class this week is why do we call them in-laws? So we have 9% of the law, 9/10 of the law, 10/10 of the law, and why they're called in-laws. Okay, says the Gemara, Braita, Tanya Kavate de Rav Shisha bered Rav Idi. We're now going to bring a Braita according to the first opinion, which tells you that Avelut is more strict than Moed.
Not going to reach a code next time,
Levi, you need to go on mute. All right. The Braita says that we're proving this idea that it's more chamur. These are the things that you could do, not the Avel could do. That you could do for the Avel on the days of his Avelut. Zetav ho afuchin to'anin lo. If his olives are turned over, to'anim lo, you're able to. To'an means to load, like loading a donkey. But in this case, it means that you're able to load them onto the beam for them to be pressed for that first time, like we just said. Vikado leguf. And if he has a barrel that's opened, that you're able to close it, like we said, lagof is the last part of the Mishnah. Vikado laguf. Upishtano, because it gets ruined otherwise. Upishtano lahalot min mishra, and you're able to take the flax out of the mishra. Now, remember, shorin, the word sharui or matzah shuruya. Shuruya means something that's been dipped in water for an extensive period of time. In order to make the flax usable as flax, so it can be used for linen or paper or whatever they were going to use it for, they had to soak it. So if you have the flax and it's sitting in the pool to be able to prepare it for this softening, which will allow us to take the fibers and thread them. Okay, use them as separate fibers. So if they're sitting in that water in that pool, you're able to pull them out, because if you leave them too long, it's going to get ruined. Okay.
All things are stopping it from a loss.
Exactly. V'samro, and his wool, la'alut min hayoreh. You're able to take it out from the vat where they're dyeing it. Okay. Now, if you do it for too long, the color is gonna be like too strong color. Obviously, we're not talking about a scenario where it's in black dye and you leave it in black dye too long, it's gonna be ruined. Talking about a scenario where the color, if it's too long, is gonna ruin it. Okay. Marbitzin tzadeu mishetagia onat hamayim shelo. Also, you're able to, when let's say the guy it's a hot day and the time for the crops needs to be watered. If you don't water it, it will dry out. In the scenario in such a case like that, you're also able to water the field for him. Why? Since in every one of these cases, it's going to be pseda, it's a place of a great loss. So for the sake of a loss, we always allowed other people, I'm just making it clear, other people to do it for the Avel. Okay, fine. Says the Braita, what do you see from here? What do you see? We just used exactly the case of the Zetav. We said the case of the olives for an Avel
Not allowed.
that you're allowed to, it seems like.
Right, the first press.
Allowed to for the first press at least. That's the diuk.
Did we say first and second?
Sorry?
Just now, did we?
No.
specify?
You made the wrong diuk.
To avoid the loss. Yeah.
You made the wrong diuk. The diuk is not about first time, second time.
First time it's him doing it himself.
Oh,
Time,
forget the first, second time.
oh, sorry.
We allowed someone
Mourner.
else to do it for the mourner. What does that tell you about the mourner himself?
That you
He
can't
can't
do it.
Not allowed to do it. Whose opinion is that? First opinion of Shesha. B'nei Davidi, okay?
Rabbi Yehuda.
So we have a proof for Rabbi Shisha, Rabbi Idi.
What happened to Rabbi Yehuda from the Mishnah?
That we're not. First of all, you can't prove one of them is right from a Braita.
Got it.
They're Braita level Tanaim.
Got it.
So at best, it would just be the other guy's opinion, who I argue with in this Mishnah. Okay? So what we're trying to do is prove what their correct opinion is with regards to Avelut. Okay? And that we've proven from the fact that we said that others are allowed to do it, but you're not. Okay. The Braita goes on, Rabbi Yehuda says, Avzorin lo sedenir. You're even able to plant a field that was plowed. Again, ostensibly for the same reason. That if you leave it plowed, okay, the earth is not turned over, it's not fresh. What are you losing?
Goods.
No. I plowed a field. Rabbi Yehuda is saying you're able to plant the field for him. What am I losing?
Seeds.
No, the seeds are not there.
They don't go bad.
And so means you're able to plant them.
The effort that he did. To
Excellent. We lose the work. The purpose of moving that thing is, number one, opening it. Number two, softening the earth by turning the earth over. That which was underneath, nutrient rich, soft earth is now on the top. Okay,
You're wasting the work.
Exactly. It's now on the top. It hardens. It dries out. You wasted your time. All that work is wasted. And that money. Let's say, and also if you have a field that is set aside to be used for flax, right? If you don't plant it in exactly the right time, you're going to lose the chance to be able to plant it. What'd you lose in the second time?
The time.
What do you mean the time?
The first time was time and effort.
First time was the time and effort of the plowing. Second time, what'd you lose?
Product, flax.
No, because I can still plant. I can still plant the flax.
But it was soaked already.
Doesn't say so. No, that's
You lose the
that's the
year.
water in
You
the.
lose
Oh,
the year.
not the year of the season. You lose the. I left this field designated for flax.
At
Why
a
do they do
certain
that?
time.
Why do they do that? There's two reasons why farmers will rotate crops. One reason is for the benefit of this crop. The other is for the benefit of the other crop.
Yes. To keep it.
Nitrogen.
Yes.
Yes, but it's not only nitrogen. That's only in one direction. So sometimes, let's say I have this crop A. I'm planting crop A. What is it pulling from the earth? All the things it needs.
Right.
When I then plant crop B in the middle, I can then plant crop A again the next year.
So you throw off the balance.
So it's not you throwing off the balance, it's you're allowing the earth to replenish its nutrients. Okay? So sometimes the reason why I'm switching is for this crop. Sometimes the reason why I'm switching is for the other crop. For the reason I designated this field for flax, if I lose it, I lost out on the designation for flax. Okay? Either because it was better for flax to be planted here this year, or because it was better for something else. Now, by the way, which crop you rotate it is very important. Imagine you rotate it with a crop that is taking the same things. You did this, you're even worse. Right? You gotta know what you're doing. Also, sometimes you have a much higher yield in terms of money crop. Okay, it's worth much more. So I have to take a year off and I'm taking a loss. Okay? And sometimes what happens is that when the crops that I'm putting here, it's not only about the nutrition management, it's also about other things. Like as an example, sometimes you'll have a crop, and when you're planting that crop and it grows and then they cut it all, what happens to all the pieces that fell down on the ground? They become fertilizer. The ingredients and the nutrients in the crop that you grew now gets reinvested in the land. So there's a whole item as to what as to what you prepared for. I lost the preparation of the year for flax. So number one, I could lose the crop itself. Number two, I also could lose the designation itself. V'sadeh ha'omedet lepishtan. So in that case, we're allowing the guy also to plant for him. So in this case also, others are planting for him for the loss.
The Avel.
For the Avel. Amrulo, they said to Rabbi Yehuda, what do you mean? No, it's too little to allow it for. Im lo tizra b'bachir, tizra b'afel. You didn't plant early, you plant late. What's the problem?
You can still plant
In the
later.
plowed field.
You have time.
You could plant a little bit later. There's two plantings.
Is it
You
only 7
won't catch
days?
this one, you'll catch the next
Are we
one.
only talking about 7 days for an Avel?
Yeah. Im lo tizra pishtan, if you don't plant pishtan, tizra min acher. So if you didn't plant pishtan, what will you plant? You'll plant another fruit, vegetable, grain, which is not as persnickety as flax that needs to be planted exactly in the right time. And you know what? I'll oscillate, I'll get the benefit, I won't lose the crop. Yeah, I might lose the difference between
You're mitigating the loss.
flax and this other crop, but it's an inconsequential loss for us to allow. So the Chachamim that argued on Rabbi Yehuda, they were saying that the law, in order for the loss to be something strong enough, it needs to be substantial. Because if I planted later, then what happens? What I lose?
Not much. You're still planting.
Yeah, but so then I lost nothing.
But he says you could switch it.
So
No, because you did the.
I
plowing.
did the plowing. So what I
The
lose?
soil will get.
Value of money.
The soil
Sorry?
will get bad.
The soil will get
Harden up. The work that you did.
get hardened. It won't be muddy. It'll get ruined from the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
Whatever the case
The
might
work
be.
you did will go
Right?
bad.
They held that that's not enough. It's a loss, but what we allowed you to do was losing the crop, not losing the ideal scenario, not losing some of the work in planting, not having the flax versus something else. For that, sorry, yes, you're Avel, you lost this opportunity. That's not a loss, that's loss of opportunity. That's how they looked at it. And one of the ways to think of inconsequential loss, this is how I like to phrase it,
Opportunity cost.
is an opportunity cost. You ever understand that?
Sure.
When the loss is very small, you could look at it like a loss which is small. Or you could say, what do you mean? In every business deal, you have the opportunity to make more money or less
Can't
money.
make that. That's not the loss.
I wouldn't call that loss. So maybe the logic of a small davar aved is that they don't look at it as a loss, but rather as some form of opportunity cost, which we never allowed to be matir for moed, and synonymously, the Chachamim would not have allowed with regards to avelut. Yeah,
Still on behalf of the Avel.
on behalf of the avel.
Right.
That's the biggest chidush over here. The biggest chidush is that we're not even allowing someone else to do it for the avel.
Would
What would be the
I don't
problem?
understand why.
What's the problem? Why would we not
They're
allow
not
it?
in
he's still
Avel.
benefiting while he's in Avel.
So one way of seeing it is because there's benefit. I have a different approach. My approach is, why do we not let you work when you're avel?
Because your mind should be focused on Avel.
Right.
Now what happens? The other guy did the orders. So now what happens? If you were doing the orders, you'd be on the phone checking with the orders. Now he did the phone, you're on the phone with him.
So it's a distraction.
So exactly.
It's enough of it.
The distraction, or maybe the
Itself.
distraction of the business
Itself.
is not the work of the doing of the business.
The operation.
It's the operation. Yeah, the operation
Same
there.
concept on Moed if we hired a goy to do the work, because then you're not.
Yeah, that's can of worms. We gotta get
Is that what we're
there.
getting? Is that
We
what
gotta
we're
get
going
there.
to?
Yes.
Season,
Oh, wow.
26.
Amirad
Oh,
Akum.
that's where it has to be going.
We gotta get to Amirad Akum. Okay, it's a whole. All right. Rabban, you know why? No, because the minute you take it out of the Jewish nation, we have to ask the most obvious of questions. He doesn't have to do anything. He has no mitzvot. So why can't he do whatever he wants to do? Oh no, you can't do it. Well, I didn't do anything. Well, saying to him,
Changes the whole
you
dynamic.
said
That's
something.
not a
Whole
Moed
dynamic.
thing. That's not a Moed thing.
It's a global issue.
Moed thing. Oh, okay.
Amirad Akum is a global
But
issue.
that's like the next.
And we're going to have to get to
Dynamic,
it.
though.
Okay.
Got it.
Says the Gemara. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says, Zetav hafuchin, if the olives were turned over, ve'en shamuman elahu, but there's only one person that's able to deal with it, because no one else knows how to get this job done. Kadol laguf, ein sham uman elahu. He's got to seal the barrel, but no one else knows how to seal it. You don't seal it, it ruins. Pishtano la'alot min ha-mishra, same thing. The pishtan needs to be brought out of the pool, and no one knows how to do it. Tzamro la'alot min ha-yoreh, same thing. Needs to be pulled his wool out of the dying tank. He's able to do the melacha privately. This melacha is able to do privately if there's no one else. If the loss is going to happen right away, it's a loss which is clear and present, and there's no one to do except for him. He's allowed to do the work quietly. All right. Now,
For Avel?
sorry,
For Avel?
Avel. Yes. Now,
That's
what
crazy.
we don't know is Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel arguing on the Tanakama? What did Rabbi Yehuda say? We allow someone else to do it for him. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says he could do it. It looks like they're arguing. Except that Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel changed the case.
Because he said no one else can
He
help.
said in a scenario where nobody but you. What would Rabbi Yehuda hold in that case? I don't know. He didn't
The
say.
Avail himself could do it in private.
Exactly. So the Avail himself can avail himself.
That's,
Hey!
that's a big,
Of the
but that's a
opportunities?
significant change from the Avail doing work.
Massive significant
right.
change. But the point here is, if you're going to suffer significant loss, and there's no one who could do it but you, bitzin'ah in quiet, with no one seeing, he's allowed to do it. That's what Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says. Effectively, what is he saying? Isur avelut is midrabanan, okay?
The loss is there, right?
And no, not deoraita, but the loss, significant loss, when no one else but you could do it, is enough of a reason that the Chachamim would not have wanted him to lose everything for the sake of this law.
So how would
Okay?
Avail be in a state of mind during Avail, thinking about working myself, I have nobody to do? He's in the wrong process there.
He's in the wrong process. 1,000%. Hold on. Let me share with you a possibility of understanding Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel in a different light. What's the reason why it can't work by when I'm in Avilut? Hasu Shalom?
Because your mind is off the other.
Because we want you focused on Avilut. Now you have all your crops are about to ruin. Your whole business is going under. You're not thinking about your business?
You are.
If someone else could do it, at least someone else could do it. If I'm the only one that could do it and I can't do it, if the whole purpose in getting me not to work was to focus on Avelut, what's going to happen now? I'm not going to do the work and I'm not going to focus on Avelut.
It'll distract you.
So maybe Ben Shimon ben
Do
Gamliel,
it.
yes,
And not this. And
do it, not for the work, for the Avelut.
So you can
So you flip, maybe there's a way to see Ben Shimon ben Gamliel. The logic completely flipped.
At least something is.
Completely flipped. Here we're going to allow you to work for the Avelut. B'tzina. Okay. Says the Gemara, Yeter al ken amar Shimon ben Gamliel. Shimon ben Gamliel says more than that. Im haya uman lerabim. What if the guy is not only is he a uman, and not only is he a skilled worker that very few people know how to do the job other than him. What if he does not work for himself? He is a uman lerabim.
Oh, he's helping the other guy. He's
He's
guy
the
who knows how to
uman
do it you.
for everyone else.
the public.
Yeah. V'safar ubalan lerabim. He's a person who's the bathhouse attendant, okay? Or he's the person who's the barber. V'giya et haregel, and now it's time for the holiday. V'ein sham uman elahu, and the only one who knows how to get things working is him, and he's in avelut. Hareze ya'aseh. There he's able to do it, even though it's not bitzinah.
Because they're going to suffer a loss.
1 second, why is it not bitzinah? Let him do it
He's
quietly.
working for you.
So what? Let him do it quietly when nobody sees.
You see.
No.
When I come to cut your hair, you would see.
So, okay, but not the case of Safar. Balan.
Like, oh, everyone's going to
The answer is, there's no one who knows how to do it except for him. If it got done, who did it? Him. There's no option of tzina here. Right? So, in a case where he's a uman l'rabim, and the masses, they need him, and it's time for the holiday, right? What's the halacha? The halacha is that he's allowed to do it. Now, I just want to point out one thing. What does it say here? It doesn't say uman l'rabim mutar. It says v'higia et haregel. And the time is here for the moed, for the holiday. It's a little hard to understand how far we could take Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. let's just review.
So
Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says,
Avel is cut off because of the holidays, so
it's not cut off, but I could do that work, and then I go back to Avelut.
Go back.
Yeah. Barbanan.
That's agreed because he's not sitting it during the Moed.
No, we're talking about before the Moed.
Oh,
but before-
Everyone is getting their hair cut before the holiday. Everyone needs to bathe before the holiday.
But he's in Avil.
But he's Avil, can't work.
He did it.
But he's the only one that needs to do it. So halakha is, or Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says,
do it.
you're allowed to do it. Okay? But what's interesting about Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel is, let's review. If you're the only one that can do it, then you're allowed to do it b'tzinah. Okay?
Yes, secret.
What happens if you're the only one that knows how to do something which is public facing,
Just do it.
and the Moed is coming, halakha is, you're allowed to do it. That's what Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says.
Oh, so the Ma'ed is a critical part of it.
Oh, why am
High
I
priority.
why am I calling this out?
It's very important.
Is Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel allowing you to do it for the Rabbim because of Moed? Or is Moed just an example of a crunch time that can't wait? Let's look at it again. Im haya uman l'rabim, if he was a uman, a skilled worker for the public, v'saparu balan l'rabim. Or he was a barber and a bathhouse guy for everybody. Okay, let them wait. Answer is, holiday's coming. Is holiday coming going on barber and bathhouse guy, but not on hedge fund guy?
Yes.
It's hard. You just can't tell. Hard to
the
know.
one and only.
Hold on. Let me set it up in English so you'll hear it. Okay? Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says, if you are a person, the only person who knows how to do this for the public, or if you're a barber and a bathhouse guy before the holiday, is the holiday a condition on all of those?
Not the way you said it just now. It's not.
Change it.
No.
You did.
I didn't change it.
Yeah, the comma was the.
I didn't change it.
The pronunciation was on something else.
I didn't change it. I just set it up in a way where it's.
Joey's allowed to go to work the way you just.
I just set it up in
100% he goes to
a. I
work.
just set it up in a way where you're wondering to yourself, "Oh my gosh, is there a comma? Is this what we come across this many times? What's it called in English? Nathan will remember. It's one of my favorite things in
The
in
enunciation is on.
No.
Oh, I don't remember.
enunciation is 9/10 of the law.
No, not that.
What is it called?
Something killed grandma. Was it the grandma?
It's called the hanging modifier.
Oh, yeah, it's very good.
Hanging
These guys didn't know that.
What's the hanging modifier? I don't know this modification, what it's going on. My example I always give is,
Something about grandma.
I bought a brand new car and I drove it to my mother-in-law and I loved it.
And you lost it.
You loved spending the time with your mother-in-law, or you loved driving the new car? We have to prove what that modification is going on in a halachic scenario. Okay? But Shimon ben Gamliel is telling us a big chidush.
Is it the importance of the chol that's creating it?
The Moed, exactly. The points of the
Or is it to
Moed
do
that's
the
creating
duties?
this
Or to do the duties because nobody else can do the duties. It raises
for the
level.
public. Yes. And the reason why we brought in Moed is just because that's the case of the example of Sapar and Balan, which would be imminent that you couldn't get it right away without him. Otherwise, have a bath tomorrow. Have Have a haircut, next week.
You could say that about a lot of things.
I'm saying barbers go on vacation. What happens? All right, let's go. Says Gemara. Okay, we're over time?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
All right. Should we finish the break? No, you know what? It's in mid-flow. Okay, we're up to 11b3. We're going to continue from Ha'arisin, which does not mean the people will get married. Arusenik, yeah, it's a different item.
Vidal Sassoon. We continue.
Vidal Sassoon. Kol Sassoon or Kol Simcha.